Whippoorwill, a short play by Gemma. It's a crisp, late November evening in the woods, around 5 p.m. The stage is empty save for a few scattered trees and stumps. The sounds of birdsong is incessant. Two middle-aged bird watchers enter. These are George and Faith. Both are dressed in comfortable hiking clothes for the temperature. Each has binoculars attached to their waist. Field guides and maps pop out of their jacket pockets. We catch Faith mid-monologue.
I mean, with her getting her hair stuck in the jacuzzi jet like that, even though I told her. So Laura asked me to rush inside and find the pair of green scissors in the kitchen drawer. And so I did, and so, well, I did what I had to do, George. And let me say, oh, I'm going to hell for saying this, but let me say that there is some part of me that really enjoyed snipping through her hair, making sure Mary couldn't flaunt those locks of hers and make the rest of us ladies feel bad. Well, anyway, if you see Mary walking around with that pixie cut she's got, she's trying to play it off like it's all chic and French, but no, now you know, it's because she didn't listen to old Faith Myers. Ain't that right, George?
Oh, right. I love Mary's new haircut too, dear.
You always get that grumpy face when you're thinking about something. What is it?
You know, just thinking about the wedding, how soon it is.
Ah, I could have guessed. Don't worry, George, though I know it's easier said than done when it comes to the wedding of an oldest child. But still, Gina has found someone who she wants to spend the rest of her life with. John is a great guy, one of them fancy engineers at that. She will be happy.
That's not...
Psst, George, look, up there! I think I see one.
I don't know. It looks like a knot or something to me. Maybe an old wasp nest?
Of course it does. The darn thing is built to hide stuff like that.
I don't know why you're so dead set on finding this bird anyway. Where I'm from, the whippoorwill is bad luck. Back when Tom and I were growing up, Mom found Tom reaching to pick one up that was roosted on the ground. My mom grabbed it right before he could touch it. The next day, Tom was playing out in the street and nearly got run over by an 18-wheeler. My mom said if he had touched the thing, we would have buried him next to Nana that summer.
That's so dark.
Yeah, I guess it is.
Faith strains through binoculars to see the supposed whippoorwill. George, uninterested, wanders the stage behind her, occasionally squinting up with bare eyes to see if he sees the bird. No dice. After a bit, he finds a small rock on the ground, evaluates its weight with a few small hand bobs, and throws it at the base of the tree.
What the hell was that?
If there was a bird there, that would have scared them enough to send them flying. I didn't see anything fly away, so there wasn't a bird.
Okay, that's it. Up until this point, I have been trying to be nice to you, George, but I'm really about to lose it. I called off work today so I could go out with you and birdwatch, just like we did before the kids were born. But you spent all day moping around with your head glued to the floor, and I, for one, am sick of it. So now you can either tell me what is bothering you really, or you can keep your head up and enjoy this damn night with your damned wife.
I just don't know why he has to change his name.
What?
If he has to like all the girly stuff like shopping or fingernail polish and romance novels and whatever, fine. If he's going to look gay, that's better than whatever the fuck this is.
George.
No, Faith, let me talk. Don't you remember when he called us into the living room saying we need to have a family chat? I thought he had some actual problems to tell us, like he got a girl pregnant or owes more money than he has. Those are real problems. Those are problems we can fix. But he comes to us saying, I'm transgender. And I'm just there staring at him blankly. I don't have half an idea what the words mean. He goes on telling me, us, about self-image and all that crap. And all I'm hearing is ringing in my ears.
I know, George. I was there.
Sometimes it feels like you weren't. It feels like you weren't there when he talked about how he goes around his college campus and dresses in makeup. How he's shaved his legs and pierced his ears. Have you seen his hair recently? It's pink! Faith, George Jr.'s hair is pink!
She asked us not to use that name anymore, George.
Oh, yes. My God, how could I forget? After he finishes with all of this bullshit, he says he has a new name for us to use for him. Melanie. Melanie. He wants to give up the name George, a name that every oldest son in my family has taken up since the goddamn Civil War. I don't know if you've noticed, Faith, but neither he nor I have any brothers. If he's allowed to go through with it, that's it. Line's over. Zip kaput. All because little George Jr. didn't feel like enough of a man to take up the title.
I need you to stop talking.
Oh, and maybe this wouldn't have been so bad if it at least had my family on my side. But after he gets done with his speech, Gina starts crying. She hugs him and says how proud she is that little George Jr. trusted us enough to tell us such a personal tribulation, whatever the fuck word she used. And then she goes up to him and asks him to be her maid of honor. Faith, I don't know about you, but traditionally the maid of honor is a job for a woman. So now this is no longer an issue for just the four of us and George's little college friends. Now I have to stand in front of my entire family and God and explain to them why my only son has decided that he doesn't want to be called a man anymore.
Just stop. You are going too far.
I'm going too far? You think I'm going?
Shut up! Shut up. Look, George, I don't claim to understand anything about this whole transgender thing either. Whenever our child sat us down together, I was just as shocked and confused as you. But I can tell you, there are some things in this life that I do understand pretty damn well. I understand the courage that it took for that child to get us all together in the first place. I understand the need for family connection that every human being on this planet has. And I damn well perfectly understood the look of fear and hopelessness on her face whenever you started to go off that night. Now, I don't know about you, George, but I am never going to be the reason that my child would want to leave our family. And Tim, I am never going to let you be that reason either. I know you're scared. I am too. But the way to get through this is not to let out all that fear and anger onto your family. You are better than that. I am going to go find this bird. When you come to your senses, you are allowed to join me.
George shell-shocked nods. Faith exits. George sits on a stump, head in his hands. After a bit of time, the whippoorwill enters, played by an actor dressed in all black. They are holding a puppet. The whippoorwill flies silently around George for a small while eventually roosting by his side, looking him up and down.
You know, you're pretty loud.
Hearing the sudden voice, George takes his head out of his hands to look at the source. After seeing the bird, George slowly, methodically puts his head back in his hands.
Jesus Christ.
Yelling in the forest like that, I mean, it's rude. I don't know if you're aware, but there's things other than you here.
I didn't think I was this far gone.
Not even acknowledging me when I'm speaking directly to you. You're really not helping yourself in my eyes, you know.
Maybe I shouldn't have skipped that appointment, but I mean...
George! That got your attention. I noticed the other human said that a lot. That must be your human name.
My human... What? Who are you?
Me? I'm me. I thought that was pretty easy to see, seeing that you're talking to me. Well, sometimes you humans point to me and my siblings and say, "Whip poor Will." Sometimes the word Eastern appears before it, but that doesn't fully make sense to me because they say that even when I go west. How can I be Eastern when I am west? I don't understand it. Either way, I'm pretty sure you called me a nut or an old wasp nest, so maybe I'm one of those. I'm not really sure.
Wait. Oh, would you look at that? You are a whippoorwill. I can't believe it. Faith goes off to find one of you, and here you are coming right to me. I suppose it doesn't matter. You're in my imagination, aren't you?
That depends. Does your imagination have delicious bugs flying everywhere, and plenty of snug nests to hide from the rain, and lots of other ones like me to make the nights warm?
Yes?
Humph! Then no, we are not there. I have been hungry, wet, and cold for too long. But you should take me there when you get the chance.
Right. Will do. So, what are you doing here?
I live here, on that bit of leaves over there.
Oh, I meant, what are you doing here? Talking to me. Talking, oh my god, I sound insane.
Oh, that's what you meant. You really do have to be more specific about things. You have a bad habit. But anyway, to answer your question, I see so many of you tall creatures walk by with your strange appearances and funny voices, and I grew a little soft spot for you guys. I want to learn more about you.
Well, they say curiosity killed the cat.
What? It did? What's a cat? Am I a cat?
No.
Oh. I guess I have nothing to worry about then. I saw you and the other human you were with get into a fight, and I figured now was a great time to learn what makes humans angry. I assumed that it was anger. I don't know why else you would get so red in the face.
I don't know, Bert. This feels like an issue between me and my family. I don't...
Oh, please. Who am I going to tell? You said yourself you think I'm in your head.
I suppose that... Good point. It's a problem with my son.
Son. That's another name for offspring, right?
Sort of. It's the word for a boy child.
Boy?
Yeah, you know, a boy, man, male, masculine. Any of that ring a bell? Oh, come on. You're telling me you've studied humans and you still don't know the differences between men and women?
Well, you don't have to be so mean about it.
That's fine. I just thought it would be something kind of obvious to see.
Well, are you going to tell me?
I will. You know, males and females have different genitalia, private parts, reproductive organs.
Oh, some birds I know lay eggs and others don't. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, kind of.
Got it. Do you lay eggs?
No, I don't. I'm a man. Women lay. Well, no, they don't. But we're just different in that way.
I see. And why do you need to know if your child lays eggs or not?
Huh?
You used a different word for your child who doesn't lay eggs? Why is that how you differentiate your children? Surely there are other ways to tell them apart.
Well, yes, of course. Men and women are different in other ways besides egg laying.
Like how?
You know, men are strong, leaders, a bit of assertive assholes sometimes, but still. They are bastions for their children and wives to lay their problems on. They are bearers of responsibilities, but that's okay because we can take it. It is a great honor to be a man.
I see. And what about the ones who do lay eggs?
Women are no less powerful and respectable than men. Their skills just lie elsewhere. They're nurturing and gentle. It's a woman you want to go to if you're tired and need rest. Women will speak quietly to you and stroke your hair and heal you.
Wow, that makes so much sense. So that means the other human you were with, that was a man?
What? No, that was Faith, my wife. Why did you think she was a man?
Oh, well, that human just wasn't very quiet, that's all.
I don't mean women are quiet all the time and men are assertive all the time. We're all human after all.
So then men are sometimes assertive and sometimes quiet. And women are sometimes quiet and sometimes assertive, and that's what makes them different?
Yes.
I don't think that makes very much sense.
Well, I mean statistically men, my mechanics award.
Mosquitoes!
The whippoorwill swoops around George, opening and closing its mouth, catching several mosquitoes who have come to feast on George. Once this is finished, the whippoorwill roosts next to George once more, smug and satisfied.
Wow, I love those things. They taste just like rocks.
They taste like rocks?
Well, more like how rocks smell when they touch water.
I see. What do other bugs taste like?
Well, moths taste like a night after the snow melts and all of the grass from before springs up and proves that it's not dead. Fireflies taste like humid days when the sun just went down, and the animals that croak, croak, and the animals that yelp, yelp. Beetles all taste the same, like crunchy tree branches that have just enough weight on them to not sink down, but sooner or later the red bird is going to have to move its nest, but you're not sure if its offspring are going to be able to fly by that time. Dragonflies are gross! And mosquitoes taste like wet rocks.
Wow, I never knew that. Well, either way, thanks, Bird. You really saved my hide. Mosquitoes are the worst.
So, George, how did you choose your human name?
Oh, I didn't choose my name. No one does.
What? You don't? Who does? What if you don't like it?
Your parents do, and you just live with it, I guess.
You just live with it?
Yeah. Well, for me, it's a little bit different. I was named after my father. My parent that doesn't lay eggs. Every man in my family has been named George for quite some time.
Only the men? Not the women?
No. Not only would that get confusing, but George is a man's name.
Oh, there's men's names and women's names. Why is George a man name?
I don't know. Someone a long time ago made it up and decided to give it to their son. And then someone else did, and someone else. And that's how things have been for a long time. And to answer your other question, sure, there are men's and women's lots of things.
Really? Like what?
Well, there's men's clothing and women's clothing, men and women's hairstyles, men and women's television shows, men and women's shoes, men and
Oh, I get it. Men's and women's headpieces, men and women's chairs, men and women's music, men and women's trees, men and women's food.
No, not really.
What? You mean there isn't food that just men eat and just women eat?
No. And there also really isn't specific music or chairs or trees.
But there are specific shoes.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. It's just the way things have always been.
Where's the purpose of all of that? Why are there clothes made for women but not for men? Why are there things that men can do but women can't? You humans are a resourceful bunch, I know that. I have always looked up to you because of that. A few days ago, I saw one of you take something from your pants and put water from the creek inside of it to drink later. Genius! I've seen one human have something on their face that went dark in the sun. That's so cool! One time, I saw an entire family of humans come out of a giant, shining, moving thing with 4 round legs. That's what human stuff is. Wonderful and beautiful and useful and so smart. But then you tell me something like this. Something so seemingly inherent to humans that doesn't follow nearly any consistent logic. And when I ask you to explain it, you have no answer for me. I'm confused and frustrated and—
I don't know, Bird. Stop yelling at me.
The whippoorwill is startled. It instinctively flies away from George and lands on a spot far from him. It lowers its head and does not speak. George anxiously sits on a stump. He looks deep in thought. He bounces his leg a lot.
You know, I never fully told you why my wife and I were arguing.
Oh, yeah. Why were you?
A couple of months ago, my son sat down, me, my wife, and our other kid. He told us that he didn't want to be called a man anymore, that he felt more comfortable being seen as a woman. And he asked us to start using she and her to refer to... I guess you wouldn't really know what that means. That's fine. He just said that he wants to do things like grow out his hair, wear dresses, introduce himself as Melanie, and eventually be called a wife and a mother. And I'm just so scared for him. I love him so much, and I would give up my entire life for him in an instant, and that will never change. But I'm just so scared that I don't know how to protect him. I'm just so... Sorry. Anyway, my other kid asked if he wanted to be her maid of honor. I don't even know how to begin to explain that to you. It's just, think of it as my son announcing this decision to the world that's coming up in, a couple of days, or a couple of weeks, and I just think that maybe if I show how unhappy or something I am about all this, how disapproving I am, if I can just prove to him that gender is something that cannot be changed, he will change his mind. But I don't think that is going to happen. I think he's just distancing himself. And I don't want that. I don't want that at all. I love my family so deeply, and I'm just so scared.
George, who are you scared of?
People that aren't going to understand my child, people that will discriminate against him, argue with him.
Didn't you just describe yourself? I don't understand gender, George. I don't understand why it is beneficial for humans to compartmentalize yourselves in ways that seem random to me. If it were up to me, I believe there are ways to structure yourselves that aren't so needlessly hindering. But it seems like it is something that you believe in very deeply. Though, even with that being the case, it appears to me that there is one thing you put above all else. Family. Is that right? Did you ever try to talk to your child about why they feel this way? Did you try to understand the finer points of what they might be saying? Did you put yourself in their shoes? I am not blaming you, George. I just need you to self-reflect. You are scared. I have no doubt about that, but so are your children and your wife. You all need each other now more than ever. If you spend this time arguing instead of talking, you'll get what you get. You don't need to perfectly understand your child, but you do need to foster the willingness to keep on as a family. If you want to protect your child, George, start with yourself.
Where did that come from?
That? Oh, I don't know. I just said what was on my mind.
George, oh my goodness, you're not going to believe it.
Startled by the sudden noise, the whippoorwill flies away from George and goes to the opposite side of the stage. Faith enters.
Oh, there you are. You haven't moved an inch. You are not going to believe it. I saw an entire flock of nightjars. I know, a whole colony of whippoorwills just sitting underneath this tree. I got so many pictures. Look at this one, those beautiful whiskers. This one had its mouth open. I wonder if there were any dragonflies out for them to eat. George, are you all right? Were you crying?
Faith, I'm so glad to see you.
Okay, I wanted to apologize for yelling at you earlier. I meant what I said, but I shouldn't have raised my voice at you.
No, you're fine. I was being a jerk.
Beep. George takes Faith by the hand.
I think I want to have a conversation with our daughters.
A startled Faith eventually smiles. She is happy. George is hopeful. Hand in hand, George and Faith exit.